Okay, so today I brought with me Strength and Honour, and we're recreating here the battle, which is going to be the Battle of Aquae Sextiae, which is a battle fought in 102 BC between the Romans under Marius and the Germanic tribes of the Cimbrians and the Teutones, led by their king, King Teutobod. Fantastic name. So it's all fought here inside 2 mil. We're doing that with a scale of pretty much one figure equals one person. But actually, in terms of individual figures, there's no real individual figures inside this. This is all about the formations of the battlefield. So you'll see here the war bands are represented by great big huge mobs of 5,000 or 6,000 warriors. The Roman legions are all on one base together, a single legion formed up in a triple aces of 10 cohorts. And therefore, instead of seeing lots of individuals here, what we're doing is we're seeing the bigger tactical formations that you might see inside a real Roman battle. So hopefully that's quite a different mindset and a different way of seeing an ancient battle. It's so often in 28 mil, just a single line of figures, maybe 2 or 3 ranks deep. We're actually seeing the bigger tactical formations inside it. So it's going to be coming out then inside April. We've got a release date now of April the 25th. We're going to have pre-orders coming out into the first week or so of April, just inside the new financial year. And you can order that then for the Two Fat Lardies website there. Any pre-orders are also going to come with PDFs of the armies as well. So if at the moment you're not so sure about 2 mil, or you maybe don't have own armies of your own, you can just print off what you like. If you want 10 war bands, it's just a simple case of copying and pasting and printing 10 times, a couple of sheets of card, and you can be away and playing it and see if you like it. So you can try before you buy, really, then the bigger armies and bother to print them up. That said, now we've got lots of people who are producing armies like Coral Miniatures in Italy and Antoline Miniatures run through war bases. They've got off-the-shelf options there, and you can get an army for it for maybe 20 to 30 pounds maybe. So a battle like this with maybe 100,000 people fighting inside it, you could have on your tabletop for about 50 quid or less. So hopefully something quite affordable and quite a different option maybe from the bigger 28 mil armies where you maybe only get 30 or 40 metal figures for that price. I mean, the thing I really like about this set, and the bit that always gets the biggest cheers inside the battles, is the homunculus estrel. Inside the game, you collect, as things go wrong with your army, a series of cards or setback cards. And you don't get to see what's on these cards. They've got a number on them that's anything from 0 through to 3. And as you collect them, your pile of cards builds up. And if things go really badly wrong, like your legion routs, or worse still, you lose your eagle, you'll collect a disaster card each time. You don't know exactly the scores that are on your cards, but you get a sense of how your army's doing by the way in which the pile of cards gets bigger and bigger and bigger more ominously. If your army feels like it's getting close to breaking, your opponent might shout out to you, homunculus est, which means in Latin, you're a little man. And at that point there inside the game, normally you've got to reveal all your cards to see if the numbers on those cards meet or go over your army breakpoint. And if they do, your army breaks and you lose the battle. Your opponent could do a few sneaky things to try and prevent that from taking place. They could use some of their skills as a general to cancel it briefly, or to remove some of your setback cards during the game. But at some point in the game, often you've got to take that call and gamble and hope and pray to the gods that luck's on your side. And normally it ends up with a big cheer one way or another, and the last card being turned over is often a moment of real high tension. So it's an exciting moment in the game, and something that's really added to the fun of the game there.
We're here from Lost Art Games. There's a store which we go to, and we have got a War Games club. And we've decided this year, and sort of last year, is to put on a participation game to have a bit of fun. So we're here today with our Ding Dong, which is a Sea Lion bolt action participation game. Right. And the Fallschirmjägers have got to stop the bell from ringing, and the Scouts have got to fix the ropes. Yeah, we had a lot of people watching once the game's running, and we've got another game which is about to start very shortly. We had a very nice one. Two young lads, twins, who are, I think must have been around about 11, 12, and their dad, and another lad joined in who was a little bit older, so nice to see the little ones coming in. Yeah, we've got a start of a game very shortly. We've got one person who's played bolt action before and his friend who hasn't, and we've got another chap who has played it, who should arrive very shortly, I think. This is pretty good, because I went to Selwyn in end part of last year, and although it was the first time it had changed location to north of the river, the footfall was a little bit low, but looking around here today, it's pretty good. There's quite a lot of people.
So we're playing What a Cowboy. So we've been developing What a Cowboy, which is a variation of the Two Fat Lardies What a Tanker game, but taken into the Wild West. So it's a man-on-man skirmish game. Each player will control a couple of characters, very similar to What a Tanker, and that's what we're doing here. So this is the first time I've taken it out in public, as it were, and so far so good. I think people are enjoying it. Yeah, we've had two games so far. Both have gone down very well. People enjoyed it, and yeah, it's good. It's quick. It's quick to get your head round. But there's enough thinking in there to give you a bit of depth and allow you to play the games over and over again. So it uses the same, what I call the action dice mechanic. So it uses when your character activates. The difference between this and what a tanker is that it's card driven, it's card activation. So you don't have an initiative, you don't know when your character is going to activate, which adds a bit of drama, I think. So card flips over, your character gets activated, he's got 6 action dice, you roll those action dice, and like What a Tanker, that tells you what you can do. 1 on move, 2 is to spot, 3 is aim, 4, 5 is to shoot, sixes and aces high, which is your random one. So you don't need to aim like you do in Water Tanker. You can always take unaim shots, and you'll notice that on a 4 or 5 there's more chances of shooting, so you get more shooting than you would do in Water Tanker. So that's all very straightforward. Then what we've done is we've brought in some additional rules. So you've got what we call a bonanza. So you've got 4 classes of characters. You've got greenhorns, who are, as the name suggests, not very good, bit raw. You've got shootists, gunslingers, and then legends. And we've got what we call a bonanza. So a shootist will have 1 bonanza token, and that will allow you to interrupt at any point in the game. So if somebody runs around the corner, you've not activated, you can play your bonanza to activate. Legends, with 3 of those, can do that more often, which is great. They also roll more dice when they bonanza, which means they're more effective when they do it. You can also counter, you've got the bonanza, which allows you to do fast draws. So it's much more interactive in many ways than Water Tanker, because you're always keeping an eye on saying, okay, what can I react? Do I want to react? How am I going to do this? But it's a limited resource. You've only got 1, 2, or 3 of these counters, so it's very much a case of, do I want a bonanza, or actually I'm just going to hold that back, I'm going to chance my arm, take the luck, and all the rest of it. The rules are pretty much, the core rules, the core combat rules, the core tabletop rules are pretty much nailed down. Little bits of tweaking that keep looking at doing. What we're working on at the moment is the campaign. So the idea is there's going to be a campaign system in it as well, which will be based over, you take a couple of characters, starting with a greenhorn and a shootist, and you'll then take them through a number of games, typically 6 games, trying to develop their characters, get them more experience, allow them to promote themselves up the various levels, with the idea that there's a final game, which is the showdown in game 6, to see who actually wins the campaign. Also got that nailed down. Probably over the next couple of weeks or so, we've got some little bits and pieces to play, test. So yeah, middle of this year is probably as much as I can say at this stage.
So I'm Nick Skinner from Two Fat Lardies. We're here today, we're running Chain of Command game, 28mm. It's a historical scenario based in the Market Garden campaign. So this is set between Eindhoven and Nijmegen. The game is set on the 23rd of September 1944. So put that into perspective. The British at the bridge have already surrendered. The British airborne is in a defensive pocket at Oosterbeek, and the Americans and 30 Corps are trying to keep Howell's Highway open. So this game is set, the Germans have cut the road just north of Weckel, and they're trying to push into the town from the sort of east of Weckel, really, from the east of there, and the American airborne are trying to keep the road open. So the game is really based on that. It's as close as we can get it, based on the actual photos and map of the time. So what you're looking at is, we tried to condense that onto a 6x4 table. So we've got, in terms of the buildings you can see on the table, there's quite a nice touch on this, is that you can see the two buildings there by the main road that are set out quite close together. You can actually go to those buildings in modern Weckel, and in this scenario you might find that a Panther tank drives between the two buildings. Now historically that's what the Panther tank did, and you can go there and you can still see the scrape marks on the building where the tanks went through. So it's quite nice to have that sort of connection between the game we're playing and the historical scenario that we're trying to represent. This one's under the label of Angriff Weckel, so this is very much part of the German offensive to keep that road cut. The Germans don't push it as hard as they might do. They don't have much alacrity about them historically. But in this game, of course, we don't know what the players are going to play. So if the players play it aggressively, we can get a different outcome. It's quite interesting to see how that plays out. We have played one game this morning. We've had quite a lot of people around the table. It's quite nice. We're doing a Dutch table, so quite a lot of interest in the way that the terrain is different between what you might find as a normal World War II Normandy table and what's different about the Dutch terrain. So, for instance, the road is a bit more elevated, and we've got some of the fields have got embankments around them rather than fences, etc. So line of sight is quite good, but there's enough cover. You can move up in the little drainage ditches. So it's quite nice, quite a different environment to fight in, quite a different game because of that.